morning everyone. So Oti and I have decided to try something a bit different. Now, as many of you know, we live near Dartmoor, and it's one of the few places in the UK, along with Scotland, that you can wild camp. So we spend a lot of our time walking on moors, and I'd quite like to be able to stay overnight to extend that sort of walk. I'm also thinking next year when we go to Scotland, I loved Skye this year, there's a lot of islands you can go to, but you can't take your car. So wouldn't it be great to be able to go over on a boat and camp overnight? So this is another idea we've had. The third one is I want to take the kayak out and camp. There's some places, certainly some islands, that I'd love to go to. So all this has led to me looking for a tent. When I had this idea of going camping overnight out on the moors, I decided not to because it was too expensive. And then I thought, actually, I've got everything I need, because obviously I camp regularly anyway. So it's just the tent that I need, no problem at all. I've got a large rucksack. I've got basically everything else. You know, when in your mind, my large rucksack turns out not to have been nearly as large as I thought it was. And the small mummy sleeping bag that I thought I had, that I don't really use because I'm not so keen on it, I don't like being enclosed, but for one night I can unzip it, open it out as much as I can, would be fine. Turns out that sleeping bag was actually a very good quality bag. 4 season, and it's bigger than the tent, and twice as heavy. So I'm going to have a go and play with packing, see what happens, or I guess we'll be stopping in Exeter on the way to pick up a bigger bag. It's looking promising, including the bottle of water and bottle of squash that I'd left in the kitchen. That's it, we're packed. Just about. I've had to shift the bottle of squash over to allow enough room for the tent to go on the top, and I've had to leave out the mat that I was going to put under my sleeping mat. It's not strictly necessary, so we'll get away with that tonight, I reckon. And then I might have to plan a bit better for my next trip. Tonight's not so bad because the car won't be too far away. With the heat of today, I've already changed completely what I was planning on doing. So I can leave a change of clothes in my car with my poncho, walk back to it in the morning. I've got obviously clean underwear with me, but walk back to the car in the morning and get changed there into fresh clothes for the day, which has saved me having to carry them with me. Right, let's head off and see what happens. So, in this heat today, Oti and I had a quick, complete change of plans as to where we're going. Part of our decision in coming here today is this track. I know we've got cloudy weather, possibly fog due to come in, and I want to know that I can get back reliably, which I can along here. I've walked this with a head torch in the dark, I know it pretty well. And there's access to water the whole time for Oti. So that's a big deciding factor. One of the walks I was going to do has access to water, but only at certain points of the walk. I can't believe the sheer amount of people out here, but then it is a Saturday. It's supposed to be one of the last nice days before we go back to rain and thunderstorms, so you can't blame people for getting out here. I'm hoping that later on, as we get towards sunset, we'll hopefully get a bit calmer. The rucksack seemed a bit intimidating when I was packing it earlier, but actually it is quite a well designed one, and now it's on my back, it's absolutely fine. The temperature's dropped really nicely actually, and there's a lovely breeze through here. This is just perfect. There are signs up saying no camping at this location, but like so many of the Dartmoor signs, you never know whether to believe them. Unfortunately, they're known for putting up inaccurate information. Many people do camp here, but what you aren't allowed to do is camp within the confines of the quarry. And I'm not planning on camping actually here anyway. I've got at least another 2 hours of walking if I want to look at daylight. So So I'm planning on going up to the top of the quarry and then walking off on the track in the opposite direction and seeing what we can find. We're just starting to approach the outer sort of grounds of the quarry. And what a stunning day for it. Can't get much better than this. Well, that's not a bad sight, is it? Otie's waiting for me to say she can swim. I will chuck a ball in for her. How lovely. Okay, Otie, phone swap to the other hand because we've all found out I can't throw with my left hand. I can barely throw with my right. Okay. And that is a happy little duck dog on a hot day. Actually, I wish I could join her. I might reconsider later. Otie's had a lovely cool off, so we'll carry on. Oh, I was planning on pitching up just down there, but I'll have a think. We'll carry on walking and see what other options there are. This is where I'm going to have to be careful. As we start climbing, I've got to be careful I don't unbalance myself, even turning around when Otie was having a swim. I'm just not used to the weight. Now my knees are hurting today, but you know what? That gives us an excuse to go a bit slower and really enjoy ourselves. How about that for a view, hey? Wow. Very nice place for us to have a stop and a breather and both have a drink. This whole place is just utterly stunning, but also pretty lethal. So you can see why I don't actually want to camp anywhere near the actual quarry. That's alright, I've got a track. We're going to head off and go and find somewhere nice. It's lovely to hear there's a couple of boys down there experimenting with the echo and the sound of their voices. What a great spot to do things like that. It's something they'll remember, and hopefully they'll help look after the countryside, and particularly these areas, as a result. We're still walking, but we're covering some stunning areas. It's not as easy as you'd think to find a bit of flat ground, but we'll get there. This, I think, is our spot. Decent amount of flattish land, well away from a road, well outside the confines of the quarry. I think this will do us. Otie's not going to help me set up, but I don't need her to. All she needs to do is wait patiently whilst I do. I'm very glad that I set this up at home only a few hours ago, because it does mean it's nice and fresh in my mind. I've walked around this whole little area, and this does seem to be the largest rock-free area. So we'll carry on setting up. So that's me, all sorted, sleeping bag in, bed in. I didn't bring a pillow because there's a fairly built-in one in the bed, and I've decided whichever of the two fleeces I've brought I don't use. We'll go on top to make it lighter. And there's a mat for Otie to sleep on. That's our setup. And Otie's just happily having her dinner. Near witching hour for little duck dogs. Puppy, puppy, puppy! And this is the time of night that you have a whole different dog. Good cow. I didn't want to bring camping stuff, cooking stuff today, so a flapjack will do me. What have I learnt so far? Well, I really shouldn't have left the Kindle at home. Having said that, right now, I really don't need it. I've got this to enjoy. I'm very glad I brought one of the seats off the bench in my little gazebo in the garden. I think having something to sit on is important. Finding somewhere to pitch isn't always quite as easy as I thought it might be. I've got a heavier mallet in and I was a bit sort of regretting having the extra weight, but no, I need it. That will definitely be coming every time. I'm glad I put some extra pegs in. So on top of the ones that were provided, I stuck another 4 in, which seems plenty. I've got a couple of spares. And mainly I'm learning I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I do appreciate I've got an absolutely perfect night. It's dry, it's warm, and I'm in these surroundings. But there we go. I'm learning as I go. I just can't get over this, and I just can't believe I haven't done it sooner. What a stunning evening. Very nearly time for bed. That's us settled in for the night. Odie's got plenty of room, but not the usual sort of loads she has to stretch out in, but perfectly adequate. We're zipped in happily. I've got my phone plugged into a decent charger, which I'll unplug before I go to bed, but I know that gives about 10 charges, so we've got loads of power in that. It's time for us to go to bed. Well, Odie's got her spot. Night night, Odie. See you in the morning. Something I will need to sort out for next time is a better bed for Odie. But she's more than happy at the moment. As you can hear, I've been woken up by rain. I guess it gives us more of a test of a tent, doesn't it? And I must say I'm feeling very warm and snuggly in here. Well, I'm missing having a loo in the tent, like I do with the air beam. Good morning, everyone. Odie and I have been out for a bit of a walk, and then we've come back and hidden in the tent. As you can hear, the rain's picked up again. I'm going to have to get really organised, aren't I? It's not like with my big tent where I can pack everything up and leave it in the outer, whilst I put everything away and then just take the outer down wet, because the outer sort of come down first. So I think I'll get what I can packed into the rucksack, bed down, etc., and then carry on thinking. There we go, that's us up. Time to unpeg the guys, roll them up, unpeg the rest of the tent, and then start taking down. I'm just using some very handy ballast while I move my rucksack out, as that's the only thing that was stopping it blowing away. Good girl, well done. Well, that is us all packed up and ready to head off. It really didn't take long. With my back to the wind, it was actually easier. The inner today, the outer was a bit trickier because it's a bit lighter and was catching wind, but not difficult. All packed up nicely. And if we have a quick look around, good girl, you wait there. Leave no trace. I've gone round my little site, made sure that nothing's escaped from me. So we're leaving absolutely nothing behind. I use these poo pods, dry deal, for OT waste and any tissues or anything I've used as well. Look a mess. But you know what? We've really enjoyed that. The rucksack is considerably lighter now because I've emptied the water out. We're not going to need it between here and the car, and I've drunk most of the squash. So let's carry on walking. I thought that I'd had a pretty good night's sleep. I must say, I'm feeling a bit weary today. Something to remember for future trips. This is all looking a bit different this morning compared to last night. Always stunning though, whatever the weather and conditions. I'm not going to go into the actual quarry again because I don't want OT swimming. just before we head off. So it's about a mile walk back to the car. The walk back always seems to be longer than the walk there. Don't you just love this weather? Yesterday we came down here with me worrying about the heat and OT, keeping her off very dry paving. Today she's having a brilliant time in puddles. There we go. Never heard here. And a couple of foals, how lovely. Now, pony on right, you could just head over to the left. That would make our life easy. No, Foley's coming to you. Looks as though it's Foley breakfast time. Nice to see a Dartmoor. And then quite a wide selection of hill ponies. Shetland crosses. But lovely to see them out here. Happy little dog. Hey, that was Otie and I's first proper wild camp. She's just finishing off her breakfast because it seems silly to stay out in wet fur to eat it, didn't it, puppy? What have we learned? We've learned, remember to change into your walking boots. I can't believe I made such a rookie mistake. The boots I've walked in are fine, but not nearly as supportive. I'm going to need to try and get the packing weight down a bit if I can. It was perfectly manageable, but we only walked just, well, probably about a mile and a half out and a mile back. If I want to do proper walks, I need to get that weight of the rucksack down. And the main thing we've learnt, I think, is we enjoyed it. So we'll definitely be heading out again soon. So can a regular camper become a wild camper? I think there's a place in life for both. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you all again soon.